Okay, so I think we're live. Are we live, Jeff?
There's a delay here.
There's a 7-second delay. That's right, from broadcasting to Facebook. Let me know when we're live, Jeff, so I can.
Did you click your thing?
What thing? I said go live.
You're live.
I'm live. Okay. All right, guys. You know, anything can happen in live, and it does. This is Kat with Kat's Home Chat, where we come to you every Friday at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time and talk about all things home, real estate, home, decorating, design, really our psyche and what happens with us, mind, body, spirit, when we're buying, selling, decorating, living in a home. Lots of topics here. And I am super, super excited. P.S. First off, our apologies for being 30 minutes or so after the hour. We had some technical difficulties. No surprise. We're ironing those out. But if you're watching this on the flip side or real time, if you're watching it real time, stay tuned, because you have the opportunity watching it live to have your questions. Particularly, we have several topics that my guest is going to talk about. She's an expert in the field. But a huge one is how 3 tips, top tips on how to pick the correct color for your paint. Okay, this is huge. Yes, because it can save you thousands of dollars, sweat equity, you name it, time. We only have so much time. So stay tuned. We're going to break after the first topic here to answer your questions live. So before I officially introduce my guest, I just want to thank everyone who signed up on our YouTube channel. And the Starbucks cards are, as our gift of gratitude, are going out this week. We had over a dozen, and we are so thankful. We're more than halfway there to getting our 100 subscribers so that we can have our unique URL. And so for those who are listening, only you and or a friend can still take advantage of that offer just for signing up, subscribing, and hitting the bell. That allows you to get notified when there's new content, and there's new content weekly. We will send you a $5 Starbucks card as a gift of gratitude. Share that with friends and family. They too, if they mention your name, even though they didn't see the broadcast, they just need to mention your name. Then message me so I know where to mail it. Lastly, very, very important. Many of you may know, this is a serious topic, that Houston, Texas is the 4th largest sex trafficking city in the country. I'm very sad to say, for geographic reasons, etc. So the good news is that this year's Worldwide Staging Service Week through the Houston chapter has chosen a most deserving organization, Say Yes to Youth, that helps endangered youth with counseling about abuse, about sex trafficking, housing, etc. We can use your donations. We have Houston Consignment Center. We're working with Houston Furniture Bank. We've got several stagers who've donated cash, people in the community, etc. The paint is going to cost us over $550, and we still have more things to get to improve their waiting room, their entry. And this is a really poignant topic, really, because we're going to talk about color. In this space that Say Yes to Youth has, they took over an administrative building, and it is what Joanne coins bowls of oatmeal. Some of their employees say it feels like walking into a prison. We can't have that. We're going to bring color with painters that are chipping in and donating their labor. Sherwin-Williams, who has given us a super discount beyond our chapter discount. And we need cash donations, folks. No donation is too small. So message me. The money goes directly to Venmo, to our treasurer for the Houston chapter. And you can feel good that you can make a difference. You know, there's so many things today that we can't affect, that we can't make a difference. And it's a little bit frustrating, but you can make a difference by donating. And it is a tax deduction. You'll get a donation letter, etc. So that's my plug for Worldwide Staging Week Houston chapter. Say yes to youth. We thank you in advance for your participation. Joanne Lenart-Weary. Joanne Lenart-Weary is my color mentor. I have 3 color certifications. Joanne is the first guru and color specialist that really got me just so in depth and hungry to know more, because she has a formula, confident color system, that is second to none in giving you a formula and take the guesswork out of knowing color. You know, we all as designers and stagers and even hobbyists, you know, have a knack for color or an eye for color, but Joanne's system takes it to another level. Okay. Not only does Joanne do that, she is also the creative director and founder of JLW.
Mm-hmm.
JLW. She is a veteran designer, stager, colorist, speaker, you name it. I'm so honored for her to be my guest and my friend and my mentor. And today we are going to, as mentioned, we're going to talk about 3 tips that Joanne may share with you on how you can prevent getting the wrong color or those pesky undertones, or, you know, spending $1,500 and going, oh my God, that gray wall looks blue. So, Joanne, welcome, honey.
I'm delighted to be here. And I had to turn my camera a little bit because I was going, wait, there's no color showing up in my picture here. So I had to reposition, and I got a bad comb over thing going on here. And because you guys don't care. All you want is my brain. And I have to say, when you call me a veteran, what that is, that's code for, darn, she's old. She's been around a long time.
No, don't give me that 89 years. I was going to say senior.
Oh, well, I'm glad you didn't say that.
No, because you and I are the same age, honey. So I can make jokes. Yeah. Joanne is a veteran, means she knows a whole bunch of shit.
Yes. I do know a lot of stuff. So for those of you that are listening today, you know, Kat and I want to just share some ideas with you so you feel more empowered in your own house. And I think, Kat, is your audience more the consumer or the client, or is it?
It's the homeowners. We kind of gear our platform towards the homeowners and realtors as well.
Good. Yeah, that's a great platform for you to use. So let's get down to business. I know you have a few questions, and I'll share some things. And we welcome your questions. If anybody is on with us, bring them on, and between the two of us, we'll get them answered for you.
Absolutely. So I'm not sure if I can see questions on here or if we have any questions right now. Okay. So what, Joanne, would you say is the most common, if you could, because there's so many tips. Color is complicated. Color does not live in a vacuum. You know, and many people think that they can, let's talk about go into Sherwin-Williams or Home Depot and they select a color based on that with the lighting they have and everything. Why is that not a good mistake or a good avenue? And what would be a better way to determine the correct color?
Well, I think the biggest mistake that people do make is they go into the Sherwin-Williams store and or their Lowe's or Home Depot or whatever it may be, and they do what I call selecting color out of context. So they pick a color that's like, oh, isn't this pretty? And without comparing colors to one another, it is hard to tell the difference. So you know, as we look at this is a red violet, and it is a very vibrant, full-bodied red violet. And so when you look at this in the store, you may say, oh my gosh, those are such pretty colors. I want that in my room. But the reality is that because of everything in your house, you probably need to step it down a level. So you have a red violet that looks more like this. So you don't realize how bright this color is until you put it next to another red violet. So selecting color out of context is absolutely critical. The other thing is making sure that your lighting is all the same in the room. So often, like, you know, I have light bulbs from 10 years ago. So they're the old incandescent bulbs. And then I have some of the newer bulbs, and you mix them in your room, and it plays havoc with your colors. So understanding, like I said, not choosing color out of context, because this, let's see, nope, this, you get it home, and unless you have, you know, your preference is a very vibrant palette, this goes up on the wall, and you're going to need your sunglasses to go up. So not being able to visualize. So if you see this color and you like it, keep looking and see if there are some other versions of this color that you might go, oh, wait a minute, that's a little bit too muddy. Take them both home and look at them together, because the muddier ones are going to look better with most woodwork, most things that are existing in your room. These kind of colors, what I call the diva colors, they really need to have lots of white and bright with them. So don't pick colors out of context, number one.
Awesome. Because as you've taught me, you know, color does not exist in a vacuum. You need to stare and compare on it. And another thing that that I've been aware of, I don't know if it was through your class, Joanne, is that a lot of folks will put the color swatches up to the old paint. Why is that not a good idea?
Because what happens is you have something called metamerism, or simultaneous contrast. The colors around it are going to change the color that you are actually seeing. Just like if you have a window with a lot of green trees outside, the green in that window, you know, the light coming in that window is influenced by those trees, and that may impact your color. So if you're looking at a room and you say, wait a minute, you know, this color looks green or this color looks blue, first of all, identify what color family it's from. And then second of all, is there something around it that is changing that color? And if you see that difference only in one place in the room, then that's probably what's happening, is it's the other influences in the space.
Perfect. I think that's a huge one, that people just don't realize that color affects color. So one of the things that I've done, and I do it for design clients, is I just go to the dollar store and get the dollar foam boards. And sometimes I've purchased a few of the, you know, the stickum ones you can buy, but you know, those are like $5 a piece. Right. They're so inexpensive. You can do a swatch of the paint that you're considering, and then it's movable, so you can move it to various times of the day, various rooms, etc., to see, okay, is that the color that I'm going to be happy with, right, you know, most of the time.
Right. And if you are working with a professional, like if you're someone that's working with someone like Kat, you can ask her to order those, or him, to order those 8x10 samples that are free from Sherwin-Williams. And when I do that for my clients, I typically will order, you know, 4 to 6 of them, so they can get a good size piece of color. And, you know, so by working with a professional, you can get that. These samples are actually created with paint, not with ink. So you're going to get a pretty true effect of what that color will look like. Now, obviously, if you decide to use a flat and the samples were in a satin or a semi-gloss, then, you know, there'll be a little difference there, but you can get pretty accurate with that.
And I did with Say Yes to Youth. I bought samples because their hallway was so long. And I said, okay, take these 2 samples, paint a 8x10 or whatever in the areas that you're concerned about, maybe as it gets, because it's super long, like I want to say 40 feet long, because the light will play on it differently to see, what are you most comfortable with in that area. I know we didn't, itemize light, but Joanne, can you talk briefly on what is the optimal light if someone was changing out their lights to have all of them the same, that, like you mentioned, because light is going to affect the color? What type of bulbs would you recommend as, as kind of standard?
So part of that will be knowing what the use of the space, but typically, if you were to do a bulb somewhere in the 3,000 range, that's going to give you pretty nice light. Now, if you want task lighting, then you will want to go to 5,000, like maybe over your island. So, read the labels. 3,000 is going to give you more than an incandescent bulb, and yet not be so harsh on your skin and stuff. So, but like I said, if it's an area you want task lighting, then go up to that 5,000, and that's going to give you true daylight bulbs. And the other thing that you want to keep in mind too is, where are you at in your life? With Kat and I both being older, our eyes are older. And so a year ago, I had cataract surgery. And I'll tell you, when they took the things off of my eyes, I was like, oh my God, I teach color. And I had a student call me and ask me a question about a certain blue on a strip. And I said, well, no, that's a black. And she sounded very confused, but I'm the expert. So of course she believed me. So a few days after my surgery, I called her and I said, hey, Mary, the heavens opened, the angels sang, and you're right, that's blue. So, if you're selecting paint in your own home, understand that what you are looking at, the older you are, the more yellow and dimmer that color may look. So you might be drawn to a color like this instead of this, because with your eyes, this looks like this.
Yes.
So get some opinion from someone else, whether, it's one of your kids whose eyes aren't as old as yours, because that also can impact.
Sure. And then, viewers need to keep in mind too, for living in your space, yes, you want to be cognizant of task lighting, your age and what your comfort level is for brightness. When you're looking to market and sell your home, it's a known fact that buyers want light and bright. Okay. Right. It raises our vibration. It raises our energy. It wants us to stay in the space longer, to enjoy the space. And that's where it's really important to have everything illuminated. Now, you mentioned 3,000 and 5,000, and I'm sure there's some people out there scratching their heads going, really, that's a lot of wattage. So can you explain Kelvins and wattage?
We're talking Kelvin degrees. Thank you, Kat.
Sure.
Yeah, we're talking Kelvin degrees. So yeah, wattage, that would be like, we're talking Kelvin degrees. I apologize for
No. Because it was new to me a couple of years ago. I'm like, what is this you speak of?
Yeah. So look on the box. It will have a label that will say Kelvin degrees.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I said, and then look at those colors. 11 to 2 is kind of the sweet time of day to look at the colors in your room. But Perfect. The final decision should be made at the time of day that you spend in the room. So, it doesn't matter what it looks like at noon if I'm never in the room until 7 with all of my bulbs on. So that's a good way for you to test it.
Right. Absolutely. Well, you've given some great tips on paint and, for people not to make mistakes, as you've mentioned before, and color is complicated.
Okay, you seem to have
And the
froze.
tamarism word you used, that color doesn't exist by itself. Make sure if there's external trees, if there's existing paint, those kind of things, make sure you separate that and get the color separated. And then if you're living in your home, of course, you're going to be cognizant of task lighting as opposed to ambient lighting, et cetera, no matter what kind of hobbies or activities that you do in your home. So Joanne and I had a chuckle about this next topic, and let me just mention that I believe that it's clicked, Jeff, that you cannot do questions here. So, folks, if you cannot put questions because we're not seeing them here. It says you can't post comments on Facebook profiles. It says anyway. Post your questions, even if you're watching this on the flip side, which most of you will be, and I will poll it, reach out to Joanne if need be, and we will answer your questions, okay? Again, it's live, anything can happen, but we're here for you. So Joanne and I had a chuckle about this one because as I told Joanne, I think I know all of your sayings more than you do, being she's my guru teacher. And so we're going to talk about the Kardashian effect, and no insult to Kardashian. We all have some junk in the trunk, and some of us wish we had her junk in the trunk, but we don't want junk in the trunk in our spaces that we live or stage to sell, right, Joanne? And can you explain to the viewers what that is?
Yeah, absolutely. So what often happens, the way that we tend to decorate is we focus on what I call the function zone of the room first, which is 0 to 36 inches from the floor. That's where all of our furniture goes. And that is our bottom part of our room, our functional. That's where the most weight is. So a room can become bottom heavy or the Kardashian effect very, very easily. And what often happens is you go shopping, you buy the perfect furniture, you put some throw pillows, maybe you add an area rug. You might put one piece of art up on the wall and you go, I'm done. And so the idea is that you want to give that room vertical balance as well as horizontal balance. So if you've used a lot of color, and this is a common thing that people do when they're staging their house, they do the house primarily in neutrals, and then they look around and go, oh, wait a minute, I need a little color in here, and they'll throw a few throw pillows or maybe a botanical on a coffee table, which means all the color is in the bottom part of the room. So it becomes, again, bottom heavy with color. So it is critical for you to look around your space. If you've used the color in the bottom area of your room, bring it up in your artwork, in a tree, something that brings the eye up and creates that vertical balance.
That is awesome. And I know I've used your term also to triangulate the color. And I'm just going to explain to you a little bit, viewers, what that is or the reason behind it. And that is, as Joanne says, you want to bring the color up, and then triangulate it in several levels. Why is that? That is to keep the eye moving. Okay. It's to keep the viewer, whether it's someone just enjoying your home or you are marketing it to sell it, it's to keep the eye flowing and moving around, as they're being flowed through the home. Right.
Yes. So if you're selling, that's critical because you want a potential buyer to feel like, oh, what's that surprise over there? You want them to feel naturally led. Also making sure that you create stopping points by putting a textural throw on a back of a sofa so their hand wants to touch it. But the whole idea, yes, is to keep the eye moving around the space. So from a staging standpoint, that keeps the buyer moving and looking for surprises. And in a home that you live in, it just creates interest. And you're right, Kat, the whole idea of triangulation is that the triangle is the most pleasing shape of the human eye. So we just feel better in a room that has connecting points that are triangulated as well.
Oh, I love that. Connecting points. Yes, connecting points. That's awesome. Before we move on to one of my next favorite terms that you coined. Is there anything else on that you want to mention on the Kardashian effect?
Yeah, I think just really being careful about not allowing your room to be bottom heavy. Bring that up. And, one of the things with the Kardashian effect and even with color, we are living in a world right now where contrast is king. That's what we are seeing. And if you look behind me, you can see I have all white walls and white drapery panels in my office space here. But notice that my art is dark. So even when whether you are decorating or staging, this is a fresh way for you to decorate. Don't tend to keep where we used to do, and this will lead right into your next question. We used to do, all of these neutrals, do a lot of neutrals on one page, but the eye is hungry for that surprise of color. So, just like this, you can see that my mantle is painted black and my art has some black. So that, again, is bringing the eye up. And I've created a triangle because that art is about 2/3 the width of the mantle. So I'm naturally creating a triangle, which makes it more interesting.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I'm going to lead right in. That leads right in perfectly to, and Joanne, you've even mentioned, bless your heart, that Kat's not afraid of color. Well, I'm not afraid of color because I took Joanne's course, number 1, plus 2 more. So because I love color, I've always loved color, and I'm hungry to learn more, and I'm learning more every day. So there are people, with their homes, there's stagers, stage-ins, decorators, etc. And they need to get up to snuff with color also, because what you call bowls of oatmeal,
yes,
bowls of oatmeal, is not acceptable anymore.
No.
Even staging, beyond designing, staging has been up-leveled, and people want to see color that's strategically placed, that is a harmonious palette, etc. So it's not okay. I'm not talking out of two sides of my mouth. Color is complicated, but it can be simple. It doesn't have to be complicated if you learn a couple of palettes, cohesive palettes. And Joanne, I'm sure we'll touch on this, maybe some easy things with the color wheel, to where you can feel safe and confident that, okay, if I use this, I can use this, or if I use this, I can use that. I'll do my triangulation, and so I don't have the bottom heavy effect, and you're good.
Right.
Everybody has different levels of understanding in color, and I love to play with color and push the envelope on color. So talk to us about the bowls of oatmeal, Joanne.
So I think there are a couple of things. When it comes to staging properties, people have this mindset, okay, I have to appeal to the largest population, not knowing, who may walk through this property. But our clients and buyers, and those of you watching this, are much more sophisticated than you're given credit for at times. And we are hungry for colors. So there are two things that I see happening out there. Staging is, and this was the route that we took for years. It was like, okay, I'm going to create a big bowl of oatmeal when I stage that house, and I'm going to throw in a pop of color. And I am calling all of these kind of, let me go to here. This has become like the national color of staging, all of these turquoises and aquas. And listen, they're beautiful, but when I see a picture of a room, I don't even have to read the caption. If I see these colors are in there, it's a staging job. It's like everybody has defaulted to this palette. And even for those of you that are decorating your own home, you need to move beyond that. So if you have a lot of this color, if you're a realtor and you have your own inventory and you're using a lot of these colors, that's fine, but modernize it and freshen it up by bringing in, you know, some golds or some yellow greens or something. And this is crossing the color wheel.
Perfect.
So what happens is whenever you can bring in warms and cools into a space, and let's say, you know, another way you could go with those blue greens are, you know, the red oranges. And you can see that color palette is naturally so pretty. Now you may look at it and go, well, that feels kind of Southwest. Well, what it feels like is very organic. So if you're using a lot of these aquas and teals, bring in some of the golds and the golds, red, oranges, and that is going to give you a fresher look in your room. If you're looking around your house right now and you say, okay, how can I make it feel fresh or on trend? I don't have the money to completely redecorate. Go across the color wheel. Look, as we look behind Kat, we can see that piece of art that has the blues and the teals in it. So it's very cool based. If somewhere in that room you had something that married those colors with, you know, some of the oranges or red violets, you can see that, you know, you'd be going across the wheel. So combining warms and cools will always make a staging property have broader interest, and it will make your own home feel warmer and friendlier. So cross the color wheel.
Awesome tip. Go across don't have to be an expert, just $5 color wheel on Amazon. So yeah. Joanne, share with us a little bit kind of the basic formula, you know, and I myself, you know, I've been renovating my house since last November. We're just about done. And I had my inspiration. I'm at my daughter's house right now. I had my inspiration piece from a beautiful multicolored abstract art, and the basic colors were kind of I call it a joyful yellow or almost harvest gold, and eggplant, because I had a round tufted ottoman that I put in my cat's conversation pit. So that had to be in the color. So I had my pieces and then bought the art to fit the pieces. It also has a blue, almost a denim blue. So I'm struggling with, and I do know the formula, but if you could share with our audience the formula when you are bringing in 3 colors, the percentage that you should have of each of those colors with our audience.
Right. So 60-30-10 is always a good way to go. And the beauty of 60-30-10 is you can completely change it depending on your preference. So again, look at the piece of art behind me. You can see that we have, you know, the red family in there. We have the blue-green family. There are yellows in there. What I can do in my own room, that piece of art marries all the colors that I want, which is exactly what you did. But I can make that piece of art look completely different by bringing in more of the teal. I can make the teals the 60, the pink the 30, and the yellow the 10. Or think how different it would look if I made the yellows the 60. So find a piece of art that reflects what you love, and then take that piece of art and translate that to a color palette for your room. The other thing is, don't let someone take you down a path you don't want to go. Kat and I are both more comfortable with color. And I always say to my clients, I'm going to hold your hand and take you to a bolder place with color. But that doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to give you a really bold color palette in here. It means I'm going to give you permission to be a little bolder for you. So bold for you that's watching this might mean that you use deeper values of muted colors. What I want to live with and what you want to live with may be 2 different things. Just do it right. Mix together colors that play well with one another. And you can see what happens if we bring these bolds in with this. They kind of tend to diminish these other colors and make them look more gray. So use colors that play well together, cross the color wheel, use the 60-30-10 approach to your room, and find something that works. And Kat, what I love about something like this, now, of course, I live in Pennsylvania. We truly have 4 seasons here.
Yes.
So if this piece of art is in my room, it may be that in the summertime, I amp up the yellow.
Yes.
And in the winter, I may amp up the blue greens to bring in some coziness. So play with your accessories to create change.
So I love that. And, in staging, we call it, and I think it was actually Barb Schwarz back training with her, is we call that movable color. So, as Joanne has mentioned, you can have a power piece, an inspiration piece, whatever, whether it's a rug, whether it's a big piece of art. And as Joanne has mentioned, based on the season or just your mood, you can switch out and change the mood with movable color. Pillows. My team calls me a pillow whore because I have more pillows than at home. I go into some stores and I'm like, man, my warehouse has more pillows than you guys got. But at home truly does have a lot of pillows, and they're inexpensive for you to switch out, like Joanne said, depending on the season, depending on events, depending on your mood, with accessories. And pillows is a really easy peasy way to do that and get a big bang for your buck.
Absolutely. And it just makes your house more interesting. I've been in business 45 years. And when I began, my clients were really doing legacy design. They were buying furniture that was going to be passed down their children. The quality had to be there. And they were doing rooms that would last and be the same for a very, very long time. In today's world, we're more fickle. I mean, we are instant gratification kind of people. Yep. People aren't spending quite as much money because what they found out with this legacy furniture was their kids didn't want it.
Nope.
When they got it. So I'm not saying that you should buy cheap, but I am saying to allow yourself some things in your house that you can mix and match. It just makes life more interesting.
And, back in the day, like I remember my mother, probably, your time frame too, people went out and bought bedroom suits, living room suits. Everything was matchy. Right. It's not so anymore. And gosh, it makes it so much more interesting. It does make it more challenging, just as open concepts make it more challenging. But that's how us stagers and designers stay in business, because, we know the concepts of spatial placement and color placement and how to mix and match textures and different furniture styles, et cetera. But it certainly makes it so much more interesting, right?
Right. I mean, I couldn't keep a husband for a legacy, let alone a sofa. I mean, I've gone through a couple of husbands here. So, it's the same thing with your room. Buy the best you can afford to buy, but also allow yourself, don't get yourself locked into, oh my God, I paid this much money for that, therefore I have to keep living with it. Do something different. You have a dining room suit, like you said, do something. Take the doors off of the break part, paper the inside back of it, paint it, give it a little zhuzh so it just feels new, fresh, and on trend.
Absolutely. That's wonderful advice. And, one thing you mentioned, I want to kind of emphasize, Joanne, because, I've been doing this for a minute as well, not as long as you. I've had some other iterations in my career, but I've heard time and time again, from clients that, oh, well, the designer came in and I really, she or he imposed what they liked. I think you call it your darn near always, or your DNA, which is really unfair to a person who's looking to have an extension of themselves. It's like when I have design clients and they say, oh, I had a lady, she goes, well, I like this rug, but that's just me. I go, honey, it's all about you. Mm-hmm. Now, when it's staging, that's a whole nother story. It is not about you. And I really don't care. I'm sorry if you like the couch or not, because I'm the master stager and I'm going to set you up for success. So
exactly.
Completely different. And so I love that you say that, mention that, because I think sometimes designers make that mistake, either,
Right.
subconsciously or consciously. They need to be aware it's not about them. And if they only have a certain repertoire and that's all they can push, then, broaden your repertoire.
Right,
It's like me.
right.
I would never take on a client that wanted traditional because
Uh-huh.
I don't do traditional. I
Right,
wouldn't
right.
know how to, and I wouldn't like it.
Right.
I love contemporary, I love modern, I love eclectic, I love funky, all of that. So I just wouldn't take somebody's money if they wanted traditional,
Right, right. You may not be the designer for them because we do all have our own individual design DNA. And like you said, my idea of DNA is darn near always you're going to be drawn to a certain leg shape, a certain art style, a certain color palette. Now, if you're working with a professional, they may help you expand beyond that.
Yes.
DNA is our own perception of what makes a room beautiful. And there's a lot that comes to that. That's where the psychology comes into play. It's my DNA is impacted by what made me happy when I was a child, homes that I was in, my travels, my experiences.
Sure.
And don't let someone knock that out of you. This is all
we're
about
all so unique, and that's just such a good point. No different than we've gotten out of the cookie cutter. Let me take the already pre-made, suit of furniture. It's a playground at home, our most precious, space that we live at home and create memories and maybe work out of our home and, entertain, etc. You want that to be an extension of the most personal part of you and who you are, not who your designer is. So yeah, I think that's just key, to creating and beautifying your space. So Joanne, I'm going to take your cue on not making this an hour.
Okay.
And before we sign off, does anybody have any questions? You've got an expert here live to answer your questions on color, design, staging, etc. So how about you, Brenda? Hey, Sally, not sure if you are still on. How about you, Jeff? Got any questions? I don't have any questions. You design the house how you want. So I just have to make a little funny here, in kind of the end part of our renovations, we had over 82 it went up to 100 with the garage, 100 can lights put in our 26 and change 100 square foot home. I am so illuminated. Joanne, I can't tell you, I love it so much. I don't know how I lived without it. But and then of course Jeff we had to bring someone in and put the Alexa hub. So now we talk to Alexa really more than we talk to each other. No.
Yes, I know.
Alexa, light on. Alexa, light dim. Alexa, bed.
Yes.
But I love it. He says, I feel like we're the Jetsons, basically.
Yeah. Oh yes, absolutely.
I don't have the hover cars yet.
Yeah.
Well, Joanne, thank you so very much for being flexible, for, our viewers who I know Patrizia from Italy usually joins us. She probably is working on her worldwide staging project. So hopefully y'all will watch this on the flip side. And my sign off is, as usual, guys, is stay positive, stay hopeful, stay connected. Connect with me and Joanne. She's all over Facebook. You can find her. And this will be recorded, uploaded within 48 hours, Jeff. Is that the new time frame? On YouTube. So subscribe to the YouTube channel. We will have all Joanne's contact information, website information, etc. If you'd like to reach out to her and gain some more wisdom or services from Joanne, she has a plethora of them. And stay connected with us and have a fabulous weekend. And I ask you to just go out and pay it forward with positivity. That could be just a smile.
Absolutely.
Right. Thank you so much, Joanne. Love you, honey.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.